is so silly? Hi, it's me. Camera one, camera two, camera one, camera two. If you know, you know, and if you don't, you don't. Say it with your chest. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, and Instagram, YouTube. So excuse me if I scan the room. Um, is this thing on? Is this thing on? Can somebody tell me if they can hear me? Uh, as they say, just start where you are. Just use what you have. Just do what you can. And I got to remember the topic. The topic. Can I pin my own comment here? The topic is Dark Femme Friday. I think I'm like the ultimate woman. I hope every woman says that. I'm definitely the ultimate woman. I mean, people can want to say that they're the ultimate woman, but unless you choose to be that ultimate woman, you know, nobody can take that away from you. And today we're doing shadow diving. So, do you guys know what shadow work is? I've been doing it for years. And odds are all of us are forced into it right now, like just the collective shadow. And right now we're seeing it externally, right? So, if you work on it internally, I'm a big fan of working on something internally and having it shift internally, and you'll see the shift externally. Now, the whole they know not what they do thing, that's not true. They have numbed out to what they're doing. Just like a lot of people have numbed out to their coping mechanisms and the stuff that they're doing. And we've formed a lot of opinions based on other people's, opinions. They want to call them facts. They'll use some research because what you look for you can find. They'll use some research unless you're being really unbiased. True unbiasedness is like super like disassociative. So if you look at what's happening with science or anyone claiming they're doing research, they look for what they find. But I find what I'm looking for. I mean, we all find what I don't know if that made sense, but I'm stepping into and have always stepped into things very magically, very intuitively. And, I really like that about me. But it's okay to say you like yourself, unless loving yourself is like a dirty phrase. Is it? I mean, I'm not talking about external. I mean, I do love myself externally, but I'm also saying internally who I am as a being, what I am accomplishing just by being. So it feels like this is coming in as like a lot of intuitive messaging, but it could be a conversation the more people that start to come in and participate in the conversation. Shadow diving and unleashing the self. I should have put it all in one phrase so I could pin it here so I could like see what I'm talking about. When you're run by spirit a lot, and spirit meaning God, the universe. I grew up in a Christian household, wherever, however you grew up, that's kind of how you find your association, your connection to God, right? So, not taking it personally that someone doesn't think the same way or be the same way as you would be as foolish as saying that my God is better than your God, my place is better than your place, which makes no sense. Hi, thanks for stopping in. This is a conversation, so if you want to participate, I would love it. Shadow diving. Okay, so does everybody know what shadow work is? I have to say it anyway, even if you, because I'm filming on also on my YouTube. So for posterity's sake, shadow diving. Shadow diving is really just going into the parts of you that make you uncomfortable, that you don't necessarily like, um, that maybe you don't approve of, maybe you've found to be unapprovable, like you think it's a shame or guilt or something you carry. And we all have different levels of shadow, but we all have one as we are under the sun and we are in this being, right? So the sun comes, makes a shadow, and sometimes the shadow seems bigger than what it is, and sometimes it seems like it's gone away. But the shadow is always there. So it's something you're going to perpetually do because there's so much forgiveness left here in this plane of existence, right? So as we step into consciously, all of us shifting into the space where we don't want to need forgiveness, we don't want to have to forgive, we'll stop doing things that require forgiving. And so that's why you see this huge shift in animal rights and women's rights and making people conscious, because we can all connect. There's so many of us in connection. We're finally connecting with each other and other species. But we're seriously cleaning out what's going on in ours. And knowing that people think differently and have different levels of understanding is shifting us into a space that allows for more instead of the same old, right? Because if you want to say that the old adage is, but what's the new adage? Do you even leave space for the new adage? Do you even leave space for the new growing and coming that's happening here on earth? The new beings? Cleansing the aura with the sweet syrup and nectar of the god, of the goddess, of the gods, of the goddesses. But there's only one true space, and that is within you in this moment, in the present. But getting stuck in the shadow and getting stuck and mesmerized by it, you can forget that now is the moment of God, right? Now is the moment of ultimate power. You are the gift the earth gives herself. Stay present. So as you look into the shadow and why it exists and what it's there for, it can be used as a really good tool to tell time, to tell the passage of our eternity and our existence as a species. Because the earth doesn't really need us, but she does have us here and like us. And, it's time for us to link back into our natural state of being. Now, we look around and we assume that if nature is like us, or we are like nature, then we have to just act instinctively. Yes and no, right? Because we have the conscious thought and the ability to shift into another way of being and a higher way of being and a more flowing way of being, then that's in a sustainable way of being. Then that's what ultimately is going to help our preservation, right? So you look at the parts of the shadow that aren't working. Like, okay, my shadow helps me tell time, but does my shadow make me negative self-talk my way out of doing any activity due to analysis by paralysis or perfection or something? Does my shadow have me get into relationship after relationship and not want to be alone? Does my shadow have me chronically masturbating to pornography? Does my shadow have me um, numbing out and not being able to make real relationship? Does my shadow make me too sensitive to even go out and have relationships? Does my shadow make me chase pleasant relationships? Do I have some type of attachment issue? The shadows issues can go on and on and on. And shadows can clash. In fact, it's our loved ones that we keep the closest, that we know the most intimately, that we can often trigger our shadows that have been deeply set, right? And we keep talking about these co-creation of generations that don't need to heal from trauma, right? And that's all well and good, but they are going to have to heal from trauma. If you're healing from trauma, they have to heal from trauma. It takes several generations to release the hold of an extraordinarily traumatic event that has caused the physical system to shift into a different level of homeostasis to make it have to defend and deflect and fight off this level of trauma, right? And long story short, this is about boundaries, right? So when boundaries are broken and boundaries are crossed based on another individual's nervous system and way of being. And we're all giant bodies of water. We're all nerves. Getting really like esoteric in this teaching, but I hope that it makes sense. And if you want some clarity, please go ahead and put that on there. Okay. So we as beings clearing our trauma, our ancestors, love you, our ancestors that gave to us, right? We're also under trauma. And our children themselves are also under trauma. I mean, what's happening in the world today? What's pressing on their consciousness? They completely disagree with it. And there's no child on earth that would agree with war. A real, physical, next to them war? Absolutely fucking not. But you think because you see a video game that they're playing a video game that they'll condone that shit. No. When they become a power, they rule it. That's it. And so, how we foster these arrows, as we are the bows, we shoot these arrows, as we foster these arrows into the future, it's our chance to release them from our trauma by working on it ourselves and forgiving the past for our ancestors' trauma. Because holding these grudges isn't going to shift the future. But releasing and acknowledging the collective and individual shadows, and that's what we're talking about, is releasing the individual shadows to unleash the self. As we let go of the collective trauma that not only our ancestors held, it leaves space for others to do the same. It leaves space for others to forgive and move forward and to just stop where they are. There's certain things you can't stop cold turkey if you want sustainability. But killing each other is definitely the most. Killing yourself in your mind, telling yourself you're no good at this, that you should stop, that you should quit, that you should focus on somebody else that tells you that, oh, well, other people have failed at this, so you're going to fail at it too. Just do what I'm doing, you'll be fine. I don't think so. That's ultimately foolish to assume that one and one make two when everybody knows it makes 11. Levity, levity. I hope that worked. Anyway, one and one equals two, but they're actually placeholders when you look at life, when you look at time. You're more than just one individual. You are the hundreds, if not thousands, of individuals that's created you, including single cellular organisms that morphed into multicellular organisms. And all of this is picked up information that's stored in your DNA, that's stored in your genetics, in your machinery that has created the body, that has created the consciousness that is you. You want to stay clear, you got to get clear on the fact that you get to clear muddy waters, that is you, and sift through what it is that you actually want to cultivate. And that's what shadow working allows you to do. Let's look at the reflection of your life. Are you where you want to be in life? Yes, we all have goals and things to change, and we're all shifting into our ways of being. But do you really are you really okay with where you are, with who you are as a being, giving yourself compassion and time to grow? Do you have that space? Have you created it where you have to keep going and going and not stopping and having a lot of aggression and, things you just hold on to that's starting to eat away at parts of you? Are you free enough to be? It's okay. Nobody's judging you but you. You might hang around other people that judge, but that doesn't mean that you have to judge yourself. In fact, the main thing about shadow work is compassion. Compassion for the self and compassion for others. Compassion for slipping into the shadow and letting it possess you, if you will, feeding the storyline you've created that says that in this moment you are all of these scars that happen to you, that happen to your ancestors, happen. Yes, you are. You are. You are. But you are more. By the nature of the atom itself, by the nature of the proton, the neutron, the electron, you are the space in between as well. You are the particles that pop in and out of existence and in and to a new one. All you have to do is slow your mind enough to let you be in the now, to let you have that compassion for everything you've carried up into this being. Take a deep breath in and allow for space. So, this is where we're about to get metaphysical. Okay? I know that you can feel this if you've watched it up to now, which this is on my YouTube, so you have the opportunity to watch it. When you allow yourself to be in the space, allow the external reality that's showing you these reflections of God, these reflections of truly what God is. Is it violent or is it peaceful? What are you cultivating? Now, my ancestors might have had some stuff that they were carrying with feeling persecuted against, being told that they needed to be quiet. Maybe that has to do with gender as well. Maybe that has to do with location. I was told to be quiet. I was told to, you know, maybe I was hit. Maybe I was abused. Those are traumas that you're carrying. Maybe the ancestors dealt with racism. That's the trauma you're carrying. That's the shadow showing itself to you. But in that beauty, in that moment, in that culmination that is you in this moment of now, you have the ability to breathe God into it. And allow for space. There we go. Puff it out. Envision your aura is, let's say, 2 feet outside your body. Let yourself breathe and take up space. And if there's someone next to you or another being, let their being breathe and take up space and overlap and intermingle into our eternity. Okay? At any moment, you have the ability to take one breath, and then you can take more. And then you can allow yourself, and knowing in this infinite space of possibility, you can redirect and shift all of that pain and down regulate the response to it, and up regulate inner peace, inner knowing, inner acceptance, compassion for the time I yelled at the dog, compassion for the time I yelled at my kid, compassion for the time I yelled at my mom, compassion for the time she yelled at me, compassion for the time when the child was learning who it is and what its boundaries were. Compassion for the times those boundaries were pushed in such a way that they became something to heal from, a shock to the nervous system. You see, that's why I love to keep the body moving, to exercise. And sometimes my body just moves. I do have some physical pain, but the shadow is deep. And sometimes we fall into the look of it and we own it. And sometimes it has taken a physical toll on our body, the shadow. And the shadows are layered because it's okay. The shadow is, for me, one of them, my physical disability, right? This is a physical shadow given to me by a doctor in a military industrial complex that was no longer, that science had separated from midwifery. And so the midwifery understanding of just massaging the muscle. And so we've been so divorced from the land that we vilify and kill the midwives and nurses and call them witches because the science wanted to say, I'm always right. Well, if you are always right, then why do I have shadow? Maybe the shadow exists because it's supposed to exist. And if I didn't have this arm right now, would I be having this conversation with you? Would I be unveiling that truth? And so many things have come from my arm. Do I want to dance? Do I want to be seen? But my symmetry's off. I know what other bodies can do, but I don't know what my body can do, and my body can't do what I want it to do. And so then there's another shadow. But I take a deep breath in. But what can my body do? Oh, it can do all of these wonderful, nourishing acts. All these wonderful, loving ways of being. Oh, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for this body because it allows me to enjoy the sip of lime or lemon water. To inhale the sweet smell of a resined perfume that not only loves me internally, but also creates an atmosphere where I can smell the remnants of God. I trust you to do the work. It's shadow work time. It doesn't have to be all painful and dramatic. I personally like yoni steaming. If you enjoy yoni steaming, or if you're interested in yoni steaming, I gotta set up an email list thing. I'll send you a free copy. I brought something in here to share with you. If you want to detox, right? If you're taking any kind of supplement, I guarantee you, based on if you're living in a city environment, you got a new car, like all of these things, toxins. Excuse me. I'm glad I didn't say the whole word. Carpet, paint, plastics, um, except for the sunlight and the grass and the trees and the rocks and the bees. Honey, they are toxifying you, and your cells are not working at the level, especially most man-made products. We just are so funny like that. You're not detoxing your body, and at most you're most likely inundated with heavy metals. I suggest using Cell Defender. I have a link in my bio, Cell Defender. For those of you with diabetes and gut issues, the fiber, I tried it out. It's pretty good. I mean, this is like non-flavored, so you just kind of but it'll cleanse you out if you're having gut issues, if you're having stomach problems, if you're having blood sugar issues. Highly suggest this product. Yes, you can sign up as a customer. Yes, it will change your life for the better. And it's about regularity, right? So when I talk about shadow work, it's like waves of mourning, right? You're going to have to do it again and again and again. You're going to have more compassion. And then again, because when you see something that's off, that's still out of balance, it's going to throw you out of balance. The water, the like attracts like, right? The particles popping in and out of existence. And our body knows standing up for injustice. And we get to stand up for injustice through our purchases, which reminds me, flowers from Pakistan. No, sorry, they're not from Pakistan. Flowers from Palestine. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I'm not removed, but removed enough to know that it's about right now. And I'm not here to justify anyone's ill actions, but I am here to justify everyone's right to existence and to be heard and to be understood and know that their shadow does exist just as our shadow exists. People love to harp on and on about their shadows, and you gotta let people have their time, however long it takes them. And I'm not here to judge them for that. It took me a long time, and it still takes me some time to get over myself and to get over the shadows and to get over somebody else. And I'm not talking about get over on them, but get over the particular pains and sorrows. The loss of a loved one never goes away, that feeling. So I also have my ancestor altar kit if you're looking for a way to acknowledge your ancestors. Actually, I'm waiting on my candles. Never mind. I do have a divine protection kit. That's a really cool one because it's ceremony. It's locked up somewhere. Not locked up, but I didn't prepare for this. I'm just like, if I'm going to talk about this, let me talk about all things. I wrote a book. Did y'all know I wrote a book? It's not as esoteric as this. I do talk about the shadow work a little bit. There's a whole chapter. The book is actually an ebook. You don't have to get a physical copy unless you want a physical copy. It's on Amazon. Amazon? Amazon? Yeah, they're gonna get their big giant cut of it. I don't know if I'll see a portion, but at least you'll get the physical copy of the book. Oh, chapter 6, Shadow and Light. Wow, look at, she wrote a lot of chapters. Girl can read and write. I had a friend edit it. Pay me so I could pay her. I hope she watches this. Anyway, Shadow and Light. This is fun. Okay, it's called The Whole Truth. How I healed through my yoni, and you can too. April Williams. I healed through my yoni. You know what I mean by through? The shadow, the light. What's beautiful when you sit in lodges, it represents the cosmic womb to some. The cosmic womb. And the womb is a dark place, and everything, it seems, is a shadow. But that's the place of creation. That's the place of ultimate divinity. Are we fighting our divinity right now? Poor babies. Just want to love you. It works. And that's all you gotta do on the inside. I know. Mommy and daddy, I might be gone. But you're here now. You're here now. Maybe you feel abandoned from that first time you had to be at the babysitter's. Maybe you feel worried still. Are they coming back? Will I still be loved? What are you searching for? I searched for my voice. I found it. That's actually the next chapter, finding your voice. Maybe I should do live readings. Would you like live readings of my book? And then if you put it in chapters, you might get the whole thing. You'll never get the whole thing. You know why? Because it's the first living ebook that ever existed. No, I mean, I haven't heard about it. I'd like to say I coined it, but if there's over 1 billion species of organism on this earth, somebody had to make a living ebook. Maybe the earth herself is a living ebook, right? Look around. Anyway, a living ebook is a book, because it's not actually a physical book. It's a digital book that keeps growing and changing, and I add links and different stuff like that. New chapters will be coming out. All of the sources, not all of the sources, a majority of the sources are cited here, so you can actually follow the link to I can't even remember the name of it right now. I'm just excited because I'm living in this moment and I'm being present with you. And as a person who has complex PTSD, which I think a lot of us really do, especially modern world people who weren't just connected with nature, but then how hard is it when you're in nature and you see her being violated and destroyed? It's offensive. And that's one of the main shadows that we get to look at, especially within, because I'm a big as within, so without type of person. If you're right with the Lord God, things shift externally. And I can see it in the rise of people caring about the earth. But there's something about the disjointedness with how capitalism works, because the dollar is ruled by the man, not the man ruled by the dollar. We didn't always trade dollars. We didn't always trade gold. We used to trade beads and chevrons. I met this really cool man through cultural anthropology teacher, and he traded and sold beads like chevrons. And I bet a majority of you don't even know what a chevron is, but it's this really awesome, really beautifully designed bead, and they all have specific different designs coming from different areas and different. I mean, the most he said that he sold a necklace of chevrons was like 80 grand, $80,000, $80,000. I think that's the last thing I heard. Do you know what that means? That means that something that you might think is immaterial or not of value, which is not the same as immaterial, but there's certain things where you might think they're not of value, but that's just because you don't know any better. So, what is it about yourself and your time and your energy that you don't understand that is valuable? Your focus. You are a gift, a very valuable, beautiful being. When you do the shifts and the work, the shadow work internally, your external shifts, the consciousness of those around you shift. And when you can hold that frequency, that energy, that vibration, that liquid fluidity, that space in between the atoms, you can form a cohesive wave that shifts the world. Let's see what happens when we all start to connect in this space, and then shifting into a lighter way of being. So when you see something that completely offends your morality, you don't just automatically fight it. You do Matrix style, right? You flow. You move out of its way. And you also have a back reaction that allows what you want to happen to happen. You shift into that love. You shift into that way of being. Hey, babes, I make a live on YouTube, so you can watch it there. It's a really good one. Like, there's some energy healing and shifting going on. Anyway, I love you, babes. Shadow work, but being in the here and now. Do your shadow work. And then as you become in the now, you start to do that co-matrixing effect, and you become who you're truly meaning to become, who your higher self wants you to be, where you want to see, and the world shifts with you. So, anyway, stay blessed, stay golden, and remember you were made for this golden life. What else was there? I think so. That is the key to enjoying who you are, being in the now, and unleashing yourself with your shadow. And you will always have shadow, because the sun is always shining. So be thankful you have a shadow. Your children have shadow, and it's all about how they use it and how they look at it. And your parents have shadow, and it's all how you see it and what you Dance with that shadow. Anyway, to all my relations and all your relationships, peace. Peace. I choose to see with my third eye. Am I ended it? Did I end it? Can I end it? End now. End stream. Share. Stop immediately. Yes.